I am the stone that the builder refused. I am the visual, the inspiration. The make ladies see the blues. I'm the spark that makes your idea bright. The same spark that likes the dark, so that you can find your left and right. I am the ballad in your box, the bullet in the gun, in the glow that lets you know the target of the sun. The story that we begun, the promise of what's to come, and I will remain a soldier till the war is won.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, and we're back here at the Strasburg Rail Road in Strasburg, Pennsylvania to check out the wonderful steam locomotives heading down the tracks and all that's going on down here in Amish County. The big thing about this video today is Strasburg's number 90 is back in steam after a year and some change 1472 year inspection where it went under. It's been fully restored. Apparently the crews say she steams better. I mean, don't take my word for it, I'm only filming it. But it's great to hear it, see it back on the railroad, and catch some pretty good shots of it. Steaming alongside fellow steam locomotive number 89. They're both pulling the daily excursions here throughout the Amish farmlands and Lancaster County. So with that being said, let's see what we can get out here today in Strasburg, Pennsylvania.
It has been a bit since I've given you all background on number 90, or if at all. I have to go back and watch some of my older videos to know, so I'm sorry about that. But anyway, number 90 was built by Baldwin Locomotive Works in 1924 for the Great Western Railroad of Colorado. She's a 210 decapod type steam locomotive.
What that means is 2 leading wheels under the pilot, 10 drivers under the locomotive itself, and no trailing wheels under the firebox and cab.
The Great Western tasked 90 with hauling commodities, or your general freight train, throughout the Great Western system, but primarily it hauled sugar beet trains out in that area of America. Later in its life, the Great Western would task 90 with hauling their railfan excursions, and what happened during one of these excursions would change the course of this locomotive's history. On one of these excursions, there turned out to be Strasburg Railroad individuals, and they had an interest in purchasing 90 for their new little operation. A deal went through, and eventually Strasburg got 90, and it turned up on the operation in 1967. Ever since then, it's been hauling any train the Strasburg Railroad gives to it, as it's known to be the railroad's strongest form of motive power. And of the year of 2025, as you saw in the title, it's officially hit over 100 years old in steam, and will continuously do so on the Strasburg Railroad. Now you may be asking, why am I hyping up on 90 so much? Well, the locomotive has actually been out of service since 2023, undergoing what is known as a 1472-day inspection. Now what this means is the locomotive underwent an extensive overhaul in which many crucial components were either touched up on or flat out replaced. Since April of this year, she's been back under steam and hauling trains for the railroad. Now, I have tried to make time to come out and see this locomotive, but that ended up not working, and the times I did come out, she was undergoing service days, hence why 89 is also in this video. But as you can see, we made it out in August, and here we are. Now, I technically did see 90 in June of this year, but that relates to a topic that we'll cover later in the video involving one of Strasburg's most endeavorous restoration projects. Other than that, I don't think I have any other Strasburg-related updates for you guys, but I will say, while we're looking at Marion, this 1910 built Boston and Maine parlor car, I will say if you guys are interested in ride-along videos inside the premium seated coaches, let me know, because personally, as much as I've come here, I've never personally taken a ride on Marion, so that would be a fun experience. Again, the comments are there for a reason, and let me know. Oh, and of course, subscribe if you want to see any more future videos like this and all that. While I can't say much about this side of the road, let's go take a look at the other side of the road. Choo Barn caught my eye this trip as they are touring around a mobile railroad layout, and this is something I've never seen before. Now, to the uninitiated, Choo Barn is located down the road from the Strasburg Rail Road and typically has an indoor layout with all these special effects and model railroad insight. However, this time, it seems they're upping their game and taking around this mobile train layout, I'm assuming to promote business and show the world just who they are, which, good idea, I really like this. Now, some of you may be asking, where's the stand sitting at? Well, they're over here at the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania, where I can definitely give you a bit of updates regarding the museum. Now, the Railroad Museum is celebrating 50 years of being established in 1975 and is pumping out loads of things to celebrate the occasion. This would explain why, in the outside exhibit at least, most of the outside equipment has been moved around. My favorite move personally being the K4 and M1B steam locomotives, now being side by side, perfect for pictures if, you'd be allowed in the yard at this time. Now, what does this all add up to? Well,
What?
that giant hole in the ground. This is a project that's been long in the making by the Railroad Museum, as some of you may know, and now it's finally spearheading and moving forward with progress. Progress being now, we're getting somewhere physical in terms of building the roundhouse. The structure, as you can see, takes up most of the railroad's yard now and will wrap around the turntable. The added bonus is that it will feature 6 steam locomotives of the Railroad Museum's collection that represent Pennsylvania Railroad heritage. Of the 6 will include B6SB number 1670, L1 number 520, H10 number 7688, K4 number 3750, M1B number 6755, and E6 number 460. Personally, to me, I can't wait to see how this project will pursue, hopefully being finished by 2027, and hopefully it'll invoke more people to come check out what the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania has to offer. However though, let's hop back on topic and head back over to East Strasburg Station, where the crew of 90 are preparing the locomotive for departure. Soon they'll be heading down track to Lehman Place Junction, and eventually we'll be trackside waiting for them at the spots. As engine crew Mr. Dylan Hutchinson would put it,
Those are 290 of good continuity on timetable train number 1. Warning whistle. Over.
Once catching the train leaving East Strasburg, we head a little ways up the road to the Red Caboose Motel, where a local worker encouraged me to get some shots of the area and the caboose along with it. Now, to the uninformed, the Red Caboose Motel is a huge motel where you can sleep in an array of cabooses, or caboose for a better grouping term. I've actually had the chance to stay at this motel about a year ago for my birthday, and it's a pretty good stay, pretty cozy, if you don't mind the cramped conditions of an N5 caboose. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the largest pileup of any amount of caboose anywhere in the world, but don't quote me on that. Most of the caboose sitting here are ex-Pennsylvania Railroad N5s. That term you may remember from our previous video done at the Williams Grove Railroad and their N5 caboose. Considering these are all Pennsylvania Railroad designed, it is a little cursed to think about all the array of paint schemes on these caboose. However, I rather encourage this idea, as the array of paint schemes differ to all different parts of the country, and if you're coming here from somewhere else in the country, and you decide to stay in a caboose that relates to your area, it connects with you more, and it makes your stay all the more better. The bonus of staying here also benefits from sleeping next to an active railroad, as number 90 expresses as much as it cruises up the grade past the property.
Right off of Black Horse Road, we pull up as the train arrives in the valley. Number 90 comes to a halt at Carpenter's Crossing, and, per tradition, it performs the ghost whistle, calling out to Lancaster, Oxford, and Southern number 6. Completing the eastbound leg of the trip, 90 eases the train into Lehman Place Junction in Paradise, Pennsylvania. Here, it will cut off, run around the train, and prepare for the westbound leg of the trip back to East Strasburg Station. While 90 makes her moves through Lehman Place Junction, I'm going to touch back on that topic that I mentioned earlier in the video, regarding seeing 90 in June for a special occasion. If you notice in the distance, you can see two flashing lights beaming down to where our camera is set. This would be a Norfolk Southern crew under the train ID H26 and their head-end locomotive 6948. Now, it's not uncommon for Norfolk Southern to drop off freight for the Strasburg Railroad, but today we would call this more a ferry move, with a fellow steam giant sitting behind H26's head-end locomotive. Coming all the way up from Clifton Forge, Virginia, is Chesapeake, Ohio, number 614. Now you may be asking, why is there another steam locomotive here at the Strasburg Railroad? Due to a joint agreement and partnership between Strasburg's mechanical facilities and RJD America, people that own 614, they plan to restore the Giant Northern to operational condition, and with the hopes of operating it on the main line. Steam on the main line is typically a rare concept in this country, especially in our part of the region, if you don't count the Reading and Northern Railroad.
Steam locomotives are typically found on formerly served branch lines by a major system, now tourist railroads. The best example to be shown here is number 90, working on the Strasburg, which was formerly a branch line served by the Pennsylvania Railroad. 614, however, would be traveling on the grander scale, the main line. Now, the main line can have many different referrals depending on who you talk to, but in this context, I'm talking Class 1 railroads, for example, those being passenger, commuter, and freight railroads. To name a few passenger examples, New Jersey Transit and Amtrak, and to name a few freight, CSX, or what the 614 traveled up on, Norfolk Southern. I'll talk more about 614 and RJD's vision in a later installment when we visit Steamtown Railfest and they so happen to have a booth on property. That'll be a video in the future that I hope you guys keep a lookout for, so again, make sure to subscribe. But for now, let's get back to this video. 90 starts her trek west back to East Strasburg Station, and what you'll notice that engineer Dylan does is watch the ground before he gets ready to move, indicating that they're on their way. Making its way out of the junction, we move back up to Carpenter's Crossing to catch 90 putting on a little bit of noise, rolling through the backdrop of South Central Pennsylvania. Continuing our move further through the valley, we arrive at Cherry Hill Station, which is also home to the attraction of Cherry Crest Adventure Farm. Now, when we went, the farm wasn't as busy as it usually is in its peak season of summer, but there were still families enjoying the many activities out there, and there was especially a lot of hype when the train came rolling through. Now, to most, you would view this shot as pretty good. Some nice lighting and some great backdrop with the farmlands. But to me, this captures one of the many reasons I love rail fanning. The public's envision, their enlightenment in seeing a steam locomotive roll by, and how it affects our modern society with that little bit of interest. Even if it is over 100 years old.
While we're set up here at Esbenshade, I'd like to give a shout out to one of my supporters who happened to be in the area at the same time we were. Dual Rocker Deuce, aka Josh on Instagram. He and his family were out there in the area getting that taste of steam railroading, and he took the time to set up this amazing scene with his beautiful vintage pieces of automotive wonder. I'd just like to say, Josh, thank you so much for that, and I hope you and your family had a great day. After the Hello Dolly crossed Paradise Lane, 90 would start easing the speed down and would pull into East Strasburg Station, making its final pull of the day. And this would conclude our chase with number 90 for the day, as engineer Russell Shirtliff had brought the train in on its last run of the day. Following this, the locomotive would be pulled ahead of the historic J Tower and marshaled back to the engine facility for some last-minute evening servicing. As mentioned before, number 90 wasn't the only steam locomotive caught in this video, but also Strasburg's number 89.
The 2025 season, like most, saw the Strasburg Rail Road placing in their variety of locomotives into service for a certain amount of months throughout the year, and it just so happened that in the month of May, number 89 was out steaming, which I have no problem with. I love seeing some variety, and I love the 89.
The only locomotive that hasn't had as much running time this year has been Norfolk & Western number 475, which has been seeing some mechanical servicing done in the back shops. I can't, however, dwell on its absence, as it took part in a phenomenal photo charter hosted by Dynamo Productions and the Strasburg Rail Road, seeing 475 masquerading as her sister locomotive in her class. That photo special definitely gave it a great high note to end things out on before its much-deserved rest. That video also came out pretty good, so I highly suggest you guys check out that cinematic piece. After concluding some minimal servicing done, 89 departs the water tower and moves her way over to the east end of the consist to couple up before its next departure. Seen here is some pretty cool coordination between our engineer, Mr. Eric, and what I can assume is the on-duty brakeman for the day, who is making the couple. The E10A and her crew would be muscling about an 8-car train today, which typically isn't much weight put on the locomotive, but 89 is predominantly shorter compared to her counterparts, like the number 90 being a bigger locomotive. As mentioned earlier, number 90 is a 210O, while 89 is a relatively smaller 260 Mogul, though has a lot of power output, so I'll let you guys enjoy some clips of number 89 rolling through the Amish farmland. Rounding off our chase at Paradise Lane, we witness 89 doing something that isn't expected of a locomotive of her size, which can only be summed up by a term known as hauling the mail, which essentially means going really fast. And with that, we wrap up at East Strasburg Station, concluding our run with number 89. I hope you guys have enjoyed this documentation out on the road to paradise with number 90 and number 89. However, the coverage doesn't stop there, as we have a few more bits of footage to look over from our days of filming. Evening breaks on the SRC's rail yard, and we catch the sight of their freshly painted switcher, number 1235, in the early stages of its Santa Fe Railway paint scheme. Sat in the background is an ex-Canadian National Railway business car, the Pacific Spirit, which is now owned by RJD America and will eventually be joining 614 on its mainline consist. With all the passengers gone, and all the train crew turning in for the evening, it's only the 90 and her crew left after a long day of work. We see the crew putting the locomotive to bed in the engine house as they pull it into one of the stalls. Now this is one of the few steps that goes into tying down a locomotive for the night. However, I was glad to only catch this one bit, as I also had to hit the road, as you'll see eventually.
Alright folks, with that being said, locomotives are tied down, trains tied down, crews are leaving, and so should we. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today. Special thanks to the Strasburg Rail Road crews for putting on the great show that they always do. Special thanks to my father as well for bringing me out here. This couldn't have been done without him. Shout out to everyone that we saw here trackside, whether you were, line side or if you were on the crew. It was great seeing you. Make sure to check out the photos on Instagram from the different days we were out here on the railroad of locomotive number 90 and 89. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching.